Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody who joins us. My name is Olena Vydiuk, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Ukraine Media Center today. Today we have invited you, and the topic of our today's event is one-time visits and gifts, risks for children in institutional care, and what truly works. So this is what we're going to discuss today. We understand that on the 20th of November, we are going to celebrate the Day of Protection of the Children. On the 6th of December, we celebrate the Day of St. Nicholas. And that's the period when a lot of volunteers, companies, charity foundations try to make holidays for the children, and they bring presents to the institutional care facilities. And today we will discuss what is really of help and what can have an adverse effect, that things that are not quite clear for our society. So today we have invited those who will try to explain to us how, if we want to do something good for the children staying there, what can we do? So let me introduce our speakers. Joining us today are Maksym Rabtsun, a person with experience of institutional care, a member at the DIiMO Office. Also joining us is Daria, Herasymchuk, advisor and commissioner of the President of Ukraine for Children's Rights and Rehabilitation. Also joining us is Kyrylo Nevdokha, head of the DIiMO Office, a person with experience of institutional care. Also joining us online is Olena Vydiuk, foster mother of a family-type children's home, and Sofiia Yudina, mentor for a child from an institutional care facility, Mentorship Development Manager at DIiMO Office. Thank you for joining us today. Let's try to explain to all those who want to do something good how to do it in the right way, how to produce a useful effect rather than doing harm for the children. So, what's happening to the children when somebody comes to them with the presents, the companies, volunteers, with the piles of sweets and other presents when they come to the institutional care facilities? Mr. Kyrylo, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. When I was preparing for this press release or discussion, I was going back to the past, to my childhood, and I was trying to remember that, in the eve of the holidays, you start thinking like, now they're gonna start coming with the presents, they're going to gather us in the solemnities hall. Someone is coming, let's gather. If it's a civil organization or a political party coming with the presents, as a child back in those moments, you feel, how do I put it correctly, a sense of a decoration. There was no personalization when you're being approached, asked, how are you doing? Anybody expresses any interest about how are you? And the way I was feeling, usually I'm not sure. Like, there's a lot of people who really have good intentions as they come, but they don't sense the consequences when you come, wave your hand, and leave. And us, as the children, we stay there at the institution during the Christmas holidays, New Year holidays. You're still there in the institution with the sweets. We had piles of sweets. Sometimes you might have thought, cool, a lot of sweets, but then you think, you're feeling such solitude, and from year 1 to the 11th grade, it was like an everyday routine for me. Those visits of the volunteers, you already know them, you know what's going to happen. And if we want to discuss how people are supposed to help, what I was remembering was not the presence, but the people who were coming regularly, and sometimes I was even disappointed when they failed to come because I was expecting to see the people rather than the presents. We were kind of building some relations, and in those moments I remember them. I remember the time that I was spending with them rather than when we were gathered in the solemnities hall, given presents, and then left. Well, sometimes it was looking quite surreal. You were doing your things, and then there was like a whistle. The volunteers, the sponsors are coming. Everybody get together. So kind of like that. So how long could it take during the holidays so that we all understand another side of those incredible events, so to say? I understand that for you it could have been just a lot of times per day, per week. Well, yeah, honestly, I had that record somehow. I memorized that number. The winter holidays, that period, there were sometimes from 14 to 20 sponsors, a lot of presents, sometimes too much. Sometimes I had that feeling that it was too much within that record short period. And really, sometimes it happened that in the morning there is one organization coming, then another one in the evening, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day. Sometimes we were told, like, children, don't run away. Another organization is coming, just take your sweets to your room and come back for more. There's another charity fund coming back. As a child, it looks cool. You see, there's a lot of sweets, but then at some moment, you look rather at those people. I apologize for saying so. The volunteers, they have good intentions, but it creates a kind of a feeling of like profit. You're coming with something for us. So we were looking at some kind of useful motive, and as a child, you don't build any trustful relations, warm relations, and it's just for kind of like looks for the reporting. And as an adult, looking back to my experience, I understand that those holidays, within the whole time, I only spent winter holidays in the family once, but the majority of them were spent in the institution. But again, that 1 year that I met with the family, I keep coming back to those memories, but otherwise you can only see this holiday celebration on the TV, the family circle at their homes. Thank you for sharing your experience, Ms. Daria. How can we understand where is an edge between a good deed and something harmful, something that even may produce harm on the children? How to do those things right? Well, let's start with this fact. Every child needs a present for the holidays. The more the holidays, the better in the childhood. That's in general. We don't even discuss that this child needs one present, another child needs 5 or 10 because this child is happy and another one is unhappy. We cannot measure the happiness of a child in presents. Second, during this period, every year I get approached by a lot of different organizations who say, can you advise a children's institutional care facility? We want a foster home, and we want to pick a family, and we want to pick some children of elder age. And when I answer that you guys don't need to do it, people usually respond aggressively. They say, okay, so those children don't need presents. All right. And I started answering in a different way. I say, it's very important that you want to come. Go. But with one important condition. You have to come to that place not only once. You cannot start your communication with the child with your visit bringing presents. Why? Because there's a number of reasons why. When you make a present to a child at home, you evaluate what children wanted. They might have told you about it. Probably you had enough money to buy that. Probably not. Sometimes the demands of the children are such that you have to save some money to buy them something like a new iPhone. But okay, you know about their dream. You present this dream to them, and you can observe a child using it. You know that your child was not deprived of it, like none of the adults came and said like, it's too expensive, you cannot use it. Or as a mother, I can influence my child. Okay, you're punished, you cannot use it. I mean, it's up to the parents. Parents can decide on that. That's what happens frequently. In case of institutional care facilities, we're saying, just like Maksym has said, there's a lot of people who come just out of the blue with good intentions, but they brought something that they had. Or sometimes there are institutions that gather those wishes from the children, and sometimes they gather and don't fulfill those wishes, but children were waiting. They were already prepared. Like, it's either they present you or not. They have to make this present for sure. There's a lot of people who are going to come. And then I have to say that in some institutional care facilities, really very responsible people work. And sometimes there are such people working who, after the holidays, they take everything away from the children and they hide it. And if you come to such facility once, you cannot control it. And on the flip side, imagine yourself a child. Imagine that's the harvesting season. The children of elder age, they understand that during this period you have to ask as much as possible. And we had a case when one organization asked, like, can we just bring presents, take pictures without talking to the children? I asked why. And they said because we cannot take it. People start coming and asking, I need an iPhone charger, I need a phone, I need this, I need this. Can you bring me some cosmetics? Can you bring me dolls? And we say we don't have an opportunity to fulfill all those wishes. But children get used to the fact that it's harvesting season. You have to harvest, you have to ask as much as possible, and they expect to get what they were asking for. So it's not about building relations, it's about mercantile view. Not because the children are bad, but because the adults allow themselves demonstrating that you don't have to build relations, but rather to ask for things as much as possible and then trade things like, okay, let's trade this for that, and I'm selling you this present and you give me money. So it's about mercantile relations rather than family relations. So I'm telling the people, if you want to come to the children, please do so, but upon only one condition, that you were coming to those kids before, coming with trainings, coming with lectures, that you know those children personally, at least 3 or 4 of them. The children know you. They know that you are going to come after the holidays and you are going to ask, how is your doll? How is your Lego? Did you put it together or not? That's the communication. They understand that that was a present from a specific person, not because all of the adults do so, but because they're building relations. That's another aspect. And one more is, obviously we try to forward everybody to the family type children's homes, and we say we can give you a family, not an institutional care facility. But the people don't like instructions. The way I advise it, like, go talk to the foster mother, go talk to the foster father, let them tell you what the children want. You buy it. If you have such an opportunity, give it to the mother. And mother, just like in all other families, is going to make those presents together with the father to their children. Why does it happen that other people come into the family and making presents, and the parents are sitting and thinking, okay, so we have to make presents too. And look, if there are some other adults coming to your family and they teach the children, if you want to get a present, you have to allow to do anything with you. Because if you tell them, don't touch, don't approach to me, I mean, you're not getting a present. I mean, you have to allow to be picked, to make a photo with you, and if you're real nice, so the adults who come with the friends, they may even start crying, and then you can ask for yet another doll, for another present. It's like the people just want to make you happy. And as Maksym said, in that case, if it's presented by a specific person, specific organization, then it's useful present. So otherwise, you cannot just come to an unknown institutional care facility, give present to the children without making sure those presents stay with them. Okay, even they have those presents, but is it going to be valuable? You cannot come to a family-type children's home to just disseminate the presents among those children and then leave. I mean, you're not even the friends of those families. So anyway, make presents, do good things, but do it in the right way. Demonstrate it to the children how it happens in the family during the winter holidays, during the Christmas holidays, or otherwise go to those institutional care facilities, but don't come once. Make sure you come several times. Make sure you make friends with those children. You know, another thing I want to say, I was mentoring one person since he was 16. He spent all his life in an institutional care facility. Then he was fostered and then brought back to the facility, and now he's grown up. So when he came to me for the first time, he's asking like, okay, so what are we going to do now? And I say, nothing. I'm coming back from work. We're going to walk a dog. Then we're going back, make dinner, have dinner, go to sleep. And so he's like, aren't we going to the cinema, or aren't we having presents today? And I said no, and he was surprised because previously when he was taken by a family, they were like, it was like a festival every day for him. So again, children need to see the real relations within the families, the way it really happens, how those relations are built, so that they learn how to live in the future. And now I'm having this pleasure annually. I'm getting a present on my birthday, on Christmas holidays. I'm getting a big box from him, and he signs a postcard for every family member. He spends a month doing it. And it's my pleasure to get such a present because he knows how to build relations. Well, because this is how the relations are built. This is the family. Maybe a different type of family, but still a family. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience. Unfortunately, very little number of people know about mentorship like institute, and it benefits the children. I think we should raise awareness in this sector. So, Kyrylo, the floor is yours. How to do a good deed without doing any harm. Well, I'm not going to repeat that. Daria was quite comprehensive in describing everything. What I would like to say, as a person who was growing up in an institutional care facility and who was getting all those presents, you know, when I graduated, I remember my first St. Nicholas Day outside the institution, and I was like, where are all the presents? But back then I had this reflection when I realized that I have those social connections with those people who were coming to my institution, those who were communicating with me, along with the skills and knowledge that we got from the world outside the institution. So it's not about depreciation of all those things, but rather about the fact that the most valuable are the knowledge, the social ties with the people with whom you can keep in touch, those who can respond to your needs. So, first of all, it's not about the material needs, but probably other types any time of the year, not only on the New Year or St. Nicholas Day. And secondly, my first New Year with the president's speech and with the tangerines. I've celebrated it back when I was 11, when a family of one of the employees of the institution took me for the New Year. So before that, New Year and Christmas holidays were just holidays. Before the New Year, like usually the charity foundations were coming on the 28th of December, 19th of December, but then they go back to their families, celebrating with their families, their friends, their extended family. So it was like a holiday for us, but on that very day on the holiday, we didn't feel it was a holiday. Another thing I wanted to say as a person who graduated the institutional care facility, first of all, support the families that end up in difficult life conditions, because now 80% of the children staying in institutional care facilities are those who have families that were limited in their rights. So when you come to those children, well, not those children, it sounds bad, like the children, when you bring them presents for the parents of those kids, it's like the center of kindness. It's like a shopping mall where somebody comes and makes presents to the kids, because in regular schools, when there is no status that it's an institution for some vulnerable categories of children, it doesn't happen. Usually, in usual schools, like the parents pitch in for the presents to the kids or to the teachers, so they don't perceive school as the center of kindness. And if it's institutional care facility, the parents start having this imagination that it's a center of kindness, and they put their child in that center of kindness, but at the same time, the connections between the child and the parents is being lost. They under-receive the education, under-receive those social skills that you get in the family. When you see the ways the parents are interactive, the ways they cook food, the ways they maintain their homes. So in fact, the child is being bought, but something very important is being taken away from them that helps them shape their view of the world. So we have to support those families who end up in difficult conditions. I have such a family whom I support regularly. Daria was mentioning it, like mother doesn't have enough money to buy presents for her kids. She doesn't have enough money to cover basic meals for the children, let alone the presents. So what I did last year, I just dropped some money to her card. The family bought presents, and the children were happy. The child was the feeling of the holiday that it was mother rather than some volunteers from a charity foundation. Children may not even know that the present was from me, and I don't need it. What I need is to preserve those relations between them and the mother, because the children are waiting for the presents for the holidays. Like, why other children are getting presents and I do not? So children shouldn't have these ideas shaped that their mothers are somehow different. I got even a photo report, but I didn't publish it anywhere. I was just happy about that family. So how can it be done? Through the centers of social services, through the centers of children's social care. Probably not all of the families who end up in difficult conditions, they report to such centers. But again, you can do it through the civil society organizations who do it on a regular basis, not those who raise like presents and then just disseminate those presents among the children, but those who provide some social care services on a regular basis. If it's just an organization which disseminates presents, then just run away from such an organization. Another thing is to link those charity visits with the family type care homes, because more than 40,000 kids, orphan kids, they grow up with their grandparents who don't have sufficient retire payments to cover all of the needs of the children. Also, you can support families who adopt the children, those who secure the children from the institutional care facilities. We understand that probably we want more vulnerability, like children without the parents, but under the guardianship in the family type children's homes, there are also orphan children, but there are people who accept them, to adopt them to their families, and they ensure the family environment for them. And if you want to work with an institutional care facility, obviously there is such a need, and there is more than 25,000 children in the institutional care facilities, including 4,000 kids who are really orphaned. There is some percentage of those where the families ended up in bad conditions, and the children got transferred to an institutional care facility for education services or something else. And for those children, you need to ask what are their needs. And the orphan children who stay at the institutional care facilities, they have need for the mentorship. They have a need for family environment. As a charity foundation, probably you can organize a communication campaign, an awareness raising campaign within a community, so that the children can be adopted within the community. It can be a present for a Christmas or a New Year. Developmental materials when you come to an institutional care facilities where children with severe impairments are kept, and you enter a hollow room where children have nothing to do. They don't develop their motorics, and I'm like, hello, where are you? All of the charity foundations, all of the volunteers. Sweets are cool, but for children with impairments, usually they don't get those sweets. It's like, do they even understand what sweets are? Or are they going to eat it and get some allergic reaction, and then we have to cure them? So the more vulnerable the child is, the more is the temptation of the employees of the institutional care facilities to deprive those children of something, to manipulate, to like underissue something. And for those children, the sweets are not going to help them to become fulfilled, to become capable, to get the rehabilitation and the service that will help them to come to the level where the parents have more resources and they can provide their children with more. Kind of like that. I can continue on and on, but really, just think about it. There are civil organizations, the centers for civil services, who can link you with the families who really have needs, and it's important to ask about the needs. If you intend to help, please don't step back, because there are cases, I had such cases with Inna Miroshnichenko. There was a designer agency who approached us, and they say, we want to present clothing for the children in an institutional care facility. That's a necessary thing. Yeah, right, that's a necessary thing, because the clothing is never enough. And we said, let's link you with a family-type children's home. They don't have enough funding to buy new clothing for their kids, so we agreed with them. Everything seems to be fine, and they asked for the sizes. We asked for the sizes from a couple of families, and then that lady from the designer's agency got lost somewhere because she wanted to make a video. She wanted to film it to show the children, to show the families, and us as an agency presenting children with the clothing, like us specifically. And what do we learn from that case? The families were expecting that there will be new clothing coming for their kids, and it just didn't happen. And me, as a person who was gathering the sizes from them, are they going to work with me yet another time? So you have to be confident about what you can give, how much you can give, and don't promise anything excessive. Kyrylo, what's your attitude to the situation when there is a real help, but those charity foundations, the companies, they want to demonstrate it, they want to tell it as a story? Can it be relevant? Well, it can be relevant, but you have to always ask for permission for pictures and video, both from children and their legal representatives. And again, the pictures must be taken not in that vulnerable condition when children grab those presents or children are crying with the presents in their heads. It's basically desirable to take the pictures from the back, and it's important how you describe it. Not like we made presents to the orphaned kids. They're missing the families, and if you put their face there, with that post, and a child grows up and it remains with them forever, it may do harm to them. It may cause bullying. For example, if it's a child attending a regular school where there are other children coming from the families, some might have seen that photo, and then those children may experience bullying. They may experience some different attitude. So pictures and video may be there, but there should be permission. Don't take pictures of the children in their vulnerable conditions, and be attentive to how you describe it. Probably Daria may add something. Well, quite an important topic. Yeah, just a second. That's a really very important thing. You know that I am a head of a civil organization, and every day for the St. Nicholas Day, in coordination with our partners, we make presents to the children. But how does it happen? Our parents, who get the whole complex of services, just like Kyrylo has said, we support the family comprehensively. And they tell the children, St. Nicholas brought you a present, not to their home, but somewhere over there. So we put the real bed, we put the real pillow. The mother is entering and she's saying, we're coming. We hide the present under the pillow. All of the presents are tailored. They are individually packaged, and that was based on a letter from the child that was put in a post box. And then a child is coming, taking a present from under the pillow, not a present from some uncle or aunt, or sir or mistress, not from an organization. And mom says, that's where our present is. St. Nicholas came there. This is where you come to frequently. And that's kind of a support to the family. They understand that it was St. Nicholas. Mother supports the legend. And obviously, we keep telling it. If you want to be useful for the families, help the families to be good families. Help the parents be good parents. Let them cover the children's needs. It's important to write about it, but add another paragraph about mentorship, that our company doesn't only help them with their Christmas present, but we came to those children before. We were reading lectures, we were making trainings, and every time when I see, those statements like children who need our attention more than others, like all of the children need to get attention, presents, clothing, their dreams fulfilled. All of the children are the same, and this is important to emphasize. Thank you. It's really very important that we've talked through this. Hopefully, our spectators and listeners will be able to find the most useful algorithm for them. Joining us online is Miss Olena. Miss Olena, you are a mother of a family type children's home. Can you please tell us about a little bit about your realities, the challenges that you're facing, and your experience? Good afternoon. Thank you for discussing these important topics. Our family type children's home is 1 year, and in the eve of the last year's holidays, the children came and we started living all together, and everything that was told by the previous lecturers, we were all through this. Some irrelevant communication. We had this experience when the people were coming, taking pictures, and children don't even know what was inside those parents. And the sweets that were brought to our home, they were so numerous that they lasted until summer. We gathered a large family group with my husband. There are 9 brothers and sisters, and we were parents to our biological kid. In October, we became parents to 7 kids, and in December, we've taken another 3 younger kids. So by the end of the year, we become the parents to 10 kids. And I must admit, without support, without help, we couldn't have made it. And I really appreciate the help of all of the people who were providing us with that help that we really needed. They were supporting us upon request. They were inquiring us, like, what do we need? And sometimes people were bringing sweets, and I was saying, like, please, no sweets, better some fruit for my kids, or milk or meat. This is what the children eat. Sometimes I was saying we need some clothing or the linens, or else sometimes the children were coming with different level of coverage of their needs. I mean, in terms of clothing or meals. So some of the children were such that we had to, so to say, to buy them clothing from scratch. And also a big happiness in our life was that one dental clinic, Korelmans, they've kind of adopted us. They provide dentistry care for our children just for free. 2 of our kids got their teeth repaired under narcosis. They do the cleaning on a regular basis. They put brackets. They do all of the orthodontic services for them. So again, there's a lot of challenges, and without quality support, we wouldn't have been able to make it, but we had a desire to help the children. Me and my husband, we were volunteers. We had children for whom we were going to become mentors, but officially it didn't result in any such cooperation, but we still keep in touch with the kids. like every week we were coming to the kids, we were building relations with them, and as the volunteers we knew the children, we knew that family group, and we wanted to adopt them to our family. So, Miss Helena, your main conclusion and urge is like, if people want to help, they need to do it upon request based on what the family needs. Absolutely, 100%, because the needs are different. Sometimes the needs are individual. Different children keep coming of different age. For example, we had children 3 to 17 years old, and in the beginning, as I didn't know how to properly communicate with the charity organizations, with the volunteers, I had a panic. I didn't know where to start. There is the children care services, and there is some paperwork to fulfill. There is me and my husband, shocked by the fact that we have 10 children at home. There's always somebody at home. You have to cook food for them. You have to take care about them, to bring them to the doctors. For of our kids, they have hemophilia twice a week. We will bring them to the medical procedures to the other end of the city so that they can have their wounds healing. So again, it's important when the volunteers, the people who want to help, when they hear about your real needs, what the family needs specifically, that's incredibly valuable. Well, thank you. Thank you for your incredible story. Thank you for what you're doing. And obviously, I hope that people who want to help, that they will find you and they will do things just in the way that you've described them. Well, I think that the topic of the mentorship is under disclosed for our society. Like, everybody understands there is guardianship, there is adoption, but very little number understand that there is yet another form of care about children. Can you please share your experience, Miss Olena? Well, it's really pleasant to hear that almost every speaker mentions mentorship, and for me, when those caravans with the presents during the Christmas holidays are coming, how can we support the youth and the children by mentorship? As it was already mentioned, that's an official government program. So volunteership with the presents is not regulated. Meanwhile, mentorship is a part of the strategy, how to support the youth and the children, how to prepare them to the adult life. I'm a mentor myself, and I have mentees. Mentees are young people whom you mentor. So I make visits on a weekly basis. We spend time together weekly. And I think if you recall the holidays when you were children, hardly the first memories would be sweets or cakes that you eat, but rather the people with whom you were spending those holidays, the making wishes together, celebrating together, greeting each other, expectations of the new year. And I really root for it that every child needs another person rather than a sweet. Sweets are harmful for your health. Like Olena's family said, like now every child needs dental care. That's the result of uncontrolled consumption of sweets. And I'm confident that mentorship can yield way more use as a social ties, social connections that remain after children graduate from the institutions. The children may pick whom to become, where to study, what to do with their time. All those difficult questions, all those difficult issues cannot be solved when the children are getting those like birth services, when they can make wish about anything and they get in whatever they want. I've been a mentor officially for more than a year, and the most difficult period in our relations was probably in December, because I was unable to attend the institution for 3 weeks. The institution that I kept visiting on a weekly basis, because what I kept hearing is like, we have volunteers this and we have volunteers that. It was surprising that the institution, instead of supporting that connection that was only just nascent, that there are specific adults visiting very specific children, investing their time, ensure their attention, but the pictures with the volunteers were more important back then. And I could see the way the behavior of the mentees changed when all of those wishes were so-called fulfilled from the list. Because I forced my mentee to think, when we spend time together, she is supposed to do something. For example, if we go somewhere, I tell her, like, bring a map, make a route to that point where we're going. Are we using the tram or are we using the trolley bus? Or once we came to a bookshop, and I told her, like, pick a book for yourself as a present. It may seem a simple task, but if a year to year a children sees a model, when some volunteers come to the presents for everyone, very frequently all of those presents are the same. Children don't have their voice, like they don't have a choice, and providing them with a choice becomes a challenge, and this is one of the tasks of the mentorship, to bring that voice back. And when that time was coming, like a simple action, choosing something, the teens, they were taking it somehow remotely, because this pattern was already triggered, that it's sufficient to smile at the picture, it's sufficient to just stay there, and it gave rise to such a consumer attitude, even for some, when it was coming to some expensive things like telephones. Even if it breaks, the volunteers are going to come and replace it. And in some years, those teens, they become like grown-ups, they become students, and their phone breaks, and in that case, no one is replacing them. They have to budget it for themselves, and the mentorship at the preparation phase, it can help. Well, the way that we spend time are the banal things sometimes. So you come there, I come to an institution, I pick my mentee, I take her outside. Well, it would be easier for me to spend time inside. It's located inconveniently, but I understand that I can individually support her. I may show her more things when we talk one-on-one rather than in presence of 10 more children. So we can come to a shop, and it's not like we buy a lot of sweets, but I can say we have a budget. It's like 250 hryvnia, and we need to eat something like that saturates us. And we talk about the rules of the healthy plate, and she starts calculating things, and even some basic things like making a route to some point in the city. Sometimes we cook, a dish that would take me half an hour to cook. It takes us 3 hours, because we stop at every phase, and if she doesn't know something, we learn it, how to peel the potato, how to fry it, how to wash the dishes in a quality manner. It takes time, it takes passion, but I mean, it's a very little price to grow a Ukrainian citizen, who, just like Kyrylo and Maksym, will be sitting here and tell about their experience. So in case you understand that you don't have a civil organization who is capable of supporting many families, or if you cannot support a family type children's home, you can pick a mentorship way for you. You can read about it at mentorship.gov.ua. You can check for civil organizations which support mentorship, and usually it's about teamwork. It's about and usually those organizations support the families or the graduates or institutions, and it's really rather than doing something good like once a year. And as a society, as a state, we have to think in the long term, and long term is usually some non-demonstrative stories that yield good results in future. Sofiia, so how to make the first step on that path? How to find a teen who needs such help? How to pick a proper institution where they need to come? Well, fortunately, you cannot pick it by yourself. I mean, the institution, the mentorship works for the best interest of the children. It's not like I want a boy who likes cars and who doesn't swear. No, it's a government program implemented through government services. First of all, you have to read it at the website to get yourself familiarized with the information, then report to the Center for Social Services in your community. Then you will have a short meeting, probably an interview, where you will be asked a number of questions so that the services understand what are your resources that can be useful for for the children. It takes into account your age, your experience, your skills, because you have to have some baggage, you have to have some experience, so it becomes useful for the children. And if you agree to become a mentor, you have to put together some paperwork. It's not difficult at all. For example, many are scared about medical examination. As a mentor, I was able to pass it within 1 day. It's possible for the best interest of the children. Then comes training, 4-day training that I underwent with my husband, and then we have the mutual selection. We have the specific needs, not needs for the toy cars or the sweets. The need is for the mentorship, for the support in school study. If it's children of school graduation age, the mentors can help them with preparation to the final examinations. And then the meeting happens. I was offered a questionnaire. I said, I agree. And the social worker brought me to a meeting. It's not like I came to the institution. Like, the social worker evaluated my resources. They checked through the questionnaires of the children, and they got us in touch. Then we signed an agreement. Everything is efficient, so that it becomes really efficient, but rather than in vain. Well, thank you for sharing your stories, and thank you for coming and discussing those important things in the eve of the Christmas holidays and the Day of the Protection of Children that we celebrate annually on the 20th of November. And thank you for those important topics that we were able to discuss. Dear friends, do we have questions on the floor? Well, now that we don't, I want to thank you once again, and I want to thank the Security Defense Forces, thanks to whom we can gather and discuss those important topics. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes.